Developer Jonathan Smarts posted some great information over the past few weeks, and we just got dropped with a public test patch. Let's take a look at what's coming to Valheim before the Ashlands drop. We're going to start off by taking a look at the patch notes. It says it's time for another patch, and it's a chunky one. This patch should fix a lot of various bugs and issues, and we hope that there's something in it for everyone. For example, the ballistas now have two modes, one where it will shoot at anything in range, but also a new mode where you can set a specific target by presenting it with a trophy of your choice. We've also added two new items for you. One is a buildable version of the hexagonal gate you have seen in various Draugr strongholds in the Mistlands, and the other is a very stylish hat for you master fishers out there. You may be in Valheim to prove your worth to Odin, but sometimes you simply have to prove you're worthy of a cool hat as well. The Valheim team has seen it in their hearts to give us a hobbit hole. Yep, you can see that with your own eyes, posted on Twitter by Jonathan. We will be able to build the doors from a Draugr tower in the mist. This is super exciting as it will open up a whole bunch of building ideas. I don't know about you, but I'm super excited to get this style of door. So we'll take a look at the fishing hat first. It's really neat. As you can see, very stylish. -2 movement speed. Oh, plus 40% hit regeneration. But it's not really a fishing hat. This looks like a fishing hat. That is super cool though. And of course, the new Draugr door. It's awesome. It has no framing to it at all, so that'll allow for some interesting design. That is a nice addition to our build materials. They also say in the patch notes, players can now use a trophy on Ballista to limit what it will shoot at. So let's take a look at that. So now you can simply set the trophy by equipping it and telling the ballista to target those. Now when you stand in front of a loaded ballista, it will no longer shoot at you. However, if there's some deer in the vicinity, it will shoot at them pretty effectively too. Now if you stand in the way of the deer, let's see if it'll shoot me then. I'm going to defend this deer with my life. They had a bullets already? It's not very effective, as you can see. Targeting, there's so many targets it doesn't know who to shoot. And it misses. And it missed again. And it missed again. You couldn't hit the blind side of a moon. There we go. Now we're killing some things. Oh, missed again. So, yeah, not the most efficient weapon, but still fun. I do like that the missiles look like single beams of the stake wall. It's basically what they are. Additionally, they said they're doing some rebalancing to the various Mistlands enemies, and they're also changing up the Mistland torches so they are no longer the primary target for enemies. Fixes the Mistlands dungeons and boss room entrances. I haven't seen any problem with that. People have been reporting bugs as they are fixing various other bugs, some fixes to fishing, and some fixes to the network. Let's take a look at what some of those new balancing and tweaks are. We already know players can now set a trophy on the ballistas to limit what it will shoot at, but one of the balancing changes to the Mistlands is the Seekers should now feel a bit more aggressive. So this was not a nerf, and we're also going to see that the Y'all Spit attack will now shoot 2 projectiles, but the burst interval is increased. It should be more visible and somewhat easier to avoid. There's going to be more fire damage, but less blunt damage. I kind of like that idea. I did think that they did throttle back too much on the Y'all, because when I was first encountering them, they were spawning pretty often, and they were really hard to beat, and they did a lot of damage, and I was really enjoying the level of difficulty of them. And then one day I logged in, and I never saw that one spawn again. So they really did low down the spawn rate on it. I think I've been alive for like 2 weeks since the spawn has happened, I feel like. So I believe this has to do with the raid, but now post-Queen night spawns of Seekers, Broods, and Ticks will appear in the Meadows, Black Forest, Mountain, and Plains. The Mistlands boss will now try to flee if it's unable to reach the player, and mobs inside the Mistlands dungeons can now respawn. The royal jelly piles inside the Mistland dungeons are now going to respawn as well, and they've added hanging jelly piles as an indicator in dungeon. And wolves can eat chicken meat. It's kind of silly that they weren't able to in the beginning, don't you think? Mist torches are no longer a primary target from enemies, and they've also tweaked the portal size to the Mistlands boss room. There was apparently a glitch where people could mine through it and break in, so now it says the entrance box was a little too big. Players should no longer be able to mine the top of the entrance and be able to press E to enter through the stone walls. They've also tweaked the portal size on the dungeon exits, so players should no longer be able to exit the dungeon while being on the floor right above the entrance. Headgear regen is no longer affected by swimming or when encumbered. Yep, as you can see, I'm fully encumbered and my headgear is regenerated. Now I still can't fight because I'm encumbered. As soon as I drop something, I can get back to being a holy terror to them. Ymir flesh is now purchasable from Haldor after the Elder is dead instead of after Bone Mass. So they sort of moved that up a little bit, and they've increased the ballista ammo capacity from 20 to 40. Now onto some bug fixes. The Obliterator now converts Mistland trophies, wood, arrows, and bolts into coal, I'm sure. And the Mistlands biome music no longer stops playing if players use the dev commands environment clear while being in Mistland. The Priest Bolt Collider is fixed. The offset was a bit off previously when you tried to pick them up, and they've made some changes to the depth of field to where the stars will no longer be blurry. Using the console command save will now also save your local character file when playing on a multiplayer server. They've cleaned up unused locations in dungeon rooms to lower the RAM usage, and they fixed a bug where players could craft an infinite amount of raw fish. Hens now lay eggs closer to their bodies, which could mess up all the chicken farms, and skeleton spawners now spawn skeletons again, even if there are summoned friendly skeletons nearby. The troll trap and Jagger stake will no longer take rain damage, and they've fixed a periodic lag spike where resources will now unload while sleeping or pausing AFK for 5 seconds if it hasn't been run for 20 minutes, or when calling GC from console, if none of these things occur every 60 minutes. Seeker flying sounds no longer plays if it dies midair, and for the marble column build pieces, they've tweaked the snap points. They were previously not 100% aligned with the other build pieces. Additional damage for bolts, which are now based on crossbow skills instead of bow skill. Jotun puffs, mage caps, and a number of other pickables no longer leave invisible dead objects in the world when they are picked, and old dead objects are cleared when loaded in to increase performance and decrease save file size. And the pickable Dragerstein no longer falls through. On the fishing end, we've got quite a few tweaks. The new item, obviously, the fishing hat. Fishes no longer despawn when they're far away. Fish found in ice caves now respawn correctly. Higher tier fish now give slightly more raw fish, and there's now a small chance for fish to give players some extra materials when they successfully reel it in. Fishing bait is now returned if pulled in without fish when recasting, which is kind of nice because you could go through the fishing bait really quick just by recasting. Looks like they've changed that up. Fishing bait's recipes now take basic fishing bait instead of previous biome fish, which was kind of nice. You did kind of have to like successfully catch a fish in order to catch the next fish, which added sort of a progression to it, but I don't think they really intended that. Fishing bait recipes and fishing bait sold from holder is now 20 instead of 40. This change was made the fishing bait return change mentioned above. Fish will now try to escape when hooked. They will wobble and splash in the water when they try to escape, which increases the stamina usage when pulling in. When they're not trying to escape, the stamina usage for pulling in is reduced. Tetra can now spawn at higher levels correctly. Tuna now only spawns in the ocean biome, and the higher level fish only jump in the ocean biome. So this should reduce the amount of frozen fish in the air that we see. They've also slightly increased the skill gained when fishing, which is kind of nice because leveling was a little bit on the slow side. On the networking side, they fixed a bug where players receive the fail to connect message instead of server full when trying to join a full PlayFab server. They fixed a bug where PlayFab accidentally signs in twice, and some major improvements on how the game handles multiplayer sessions when going offline/disconnecting. It now tries more often to succeed when creating lobbies or relogging compared to previously. They've added a pop-up message when players are trying to start a server when they're not signed in correctly, i.e. being offline in some way, or their Steam account's not connected. They've added support for non-crossplay PlayFab servers and Xbox network issues without the crossplay privilege. They've added new server parameters that server owners can use if they want to run multiple dedicated servers using the same MAC address in order to get unique PlayFab IDs for every server. They've improved error handling of the privilege manager, and a new DNS lookup failed message when a server with a URL can't be added to the server list due to a DNS lookup failure. Improved performance and behavior of local server lists, and fixed 2 soft lock cases that could happen when using PlayFab. Also fixed the bug that paused matchmaking timers when the game was paused. So they've added a new accessibility option where you can reduce flashes for Thunder, Monster, Player, Element Effects, Elder Table, Obliterator, and Portals. This should help with the FPS on some lesser performance gaming machines. And you can now remove the Raven hints altogether in a setting so you don't have to go in and use the command every time you log into a new world, which oftentimes reset if you were an admin and you had to disable that bird quite often. There's some new console commands added such as catch, which simulates catching a fish, print net ob, which lists the number of network objects by name surrounding a player, and they've made improvements for the Manage Saves menu, which should be a lot less laggy to use. And lastly, some more localization updates. So I don't know about you, but I'm super excited for these changes, as this is a much bigger patch than I anticipated. The devs also did say they plan on being more transparent with the next update, which has been proven to be true thus far. So I would expect a lot of spoilers to come out in the next coming weeks regarding Ashlands and other content patches they may decide to add. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified when new information does come out. I do plan on covering this next biome pretty heavily. Now while you wait for the Ashlands and all this new content, why don't you check out one of these two videos I hand selected just for you.